For today's tutorial, we're drawing monsters. Check out these awesome sketches. I'm going to start by showing you a quick wash that you can do as one option for color for your monster. So with watercolors, you can wet them down with a few drops of water and then paint the outer shape. I've left the opening for the mouth, and there are a couple things you can do. You can let the water just drip off the edges, kind of build it up and then let it drip off for a cool effect at the edges. And you can also dab some of the color out, so I'm going to dab some for my eyes. For monster number 2, I'm going to use a pencil sketch to get started and sketch in lightly the details. In this one I'm putting a hat on and some fuzz around to make a big fuzzy monster, and I've decided to put some chucks on this monster, kind of make him a hip monster. Eyes, there's lots of options for eyes. I've chosen to draw a line straight across the top and then do 2 different sizes of eyes. You can do circle eyes, oval eyes, triangle eyes, square eyes, any kind of eyes that you would like. As far as other details for your monster, arms, legs, horns, wings, anything is fair game. Once your monster's done, you can choose to outline with a Sharpie or any type of pen or marker to create bold lines for your monster, but it's not a requirement. This Sharpie is so dry. I can't imagine if I had to actually fill in, if I wanted to fill in black, but I kind of liked the effect as I was working, so I left it kind of that fuzzed out gray. So now I got one that works. So penciling or sharpening in all the edges to really make them stand out and make them permanent. So once you've gotten everything outlined or even just darkened in, if you're just using a pencil, then we're going to move on to color. So as finishing this up, I'll talk a little bit about color. So what I like to see in these is some blending. So a really cool effect is to blend from light to dark, and you'll see me here in a minute. I'm going to add a light color first, and then I'm going to build some darker colors into the outer edges of the fur. And to do that, we're going to do a little blending. So I'll show you that here in a minute. So we'll speed this up a little bit and get this colored in. Couple reminders as you're coloring. Try to use the side of your color pencil or whatever tool you're using. If it's a marker, the side works better as well because it gives you a wider span for coloring, and it creates a smoother texture as you color in larger areas. Obviously, if you're coloring in smaller areas, you're going to move more to the point of the pencil or marker, but as for the larger, wider areas, you're going to want to use the side of your pencil to get a nice smooth texture. You want to fill in all the white areas. And for this step, we're wanting to kind of lay down a base color, so I'm trying to keep it fairly even, not creating a lot of variation in the texture yet, but you could, after you get this base layer in, add a darker textural layer, maybe to show the hairs of the fur, or just add some darks and lights to it with a little hair texture. Now we're going to grab a darker color of green, and we're going to add in that value that I was talking about earlier. So building in the edges and going from dark, pressing harder, and letting off the pressure to light towards the middle of the monster. It's going to give it more of a 3-dimensional look and add some variety and some emphasis to those little fur edges. We'll work our way all the way around the monster with this technique and even add a little bit of dimension underneath the eyes. Another technique that you can use is more of a circular motion, and it softens the edges. So you can still go dark to light with that by changing up the pressure. But it softens the edges a little bit around those eyes so that it doesn't leave any hardness on those dark areas. We'll move on. I'm going to add a little bit of shading or a little touch of shadow with a light blue color on the teeth. Color in the tongue and do that dark to light technique on the tongue. So it's darker towards the back of the mouth, lighter towards the front. Another thing you can do on top of these colors if you want a smoother effect is to take a white color pencil and use a little bit of pressure, and that will help blend the color a bit better. Decided to make the hat orange and go a little darker with a red orange to pop it against the green monster fur. I thought I needed a line to designate the middle seam of the hat, and a bit darker shading on the side. We'll also color in the shoes, with a cool color, turquoise, and we'll color in our arms. I put some gloves on it. It's kind of my Mickey Minnie Mouse childhood inspiration. Now we're going to move on to our watercolor wash. It's pretty dry right now. It's a little bit damp, but I can go over it with that Sharpie and detail in the outer edges. Kind of pop it in the mouth, and then with either of these monster choices that you have, you can do a bubble word, a speech bubble, or the other option would be what I've started on here, and that's to place the words, the kindness words, the inspirational words, the positive message that you want to show in your mouth of your monster. If you remember back to the beginning of our 6th grade year, we did these bubble letters, and if you outline just a line letter, that's probably the easiest way if you're not comfortable just doing it freehand like I have been. The trick is getting it to fit inside of the mouth shape. So I always try to sketch it in pencil first and then outline in Sharpie. And I'm going to go ahead and outline and then fill in some of these areas around it, and that's going to be the inside of my mouth. So I'm going to do that all with Sharpie to pop that against the actual monster background. So this one happens to say stay positive. So it's a great message for right now to keep positive and keep staying strong. These are a lot of fun because there's so many options. You can do just about anything to create a monster. And they don't have to be made up monsters. They could totally be an inanimate object, like maybe you want to do your favorite cup that you do for the drawing challenge and you want to add eyes and a mouth to it. Super awesome, easy way to animate something that you already enjoy and give it a personality. So I've added another layer of watercolor on my watercolor monster, and then I'm going to make a speech bubble for my big mouth monster here. And he's going to give us a message of being happy or choosing happy. So I drew the speech bubble first, and then I fit my lettering inside of that bubble. And this one I chose not to do bubble letters, but I did really try to fill up the space, and then I thickened in some of my letters. All of the downstrokes are thickened. So it's a good way to kind of give it a calligraphy look. So the final step, especially if you've done multiple monsters on your page, is to cut out your monster. If we were working on these in class, we would make them the entire size of our paper. So that's an option, or you can do lots of small monsters if you have some really cool ideas and you just can't decide which one. Do a lot of small ones, and then you can cut them out, and you can place them in your window as a positive message for someone walking by. You can put them on your mirror for a positive message for yourself. We have a couple magnets and we put them on our refrigerator. So really fun way to create a positive message.